race due off in just over 1 minute's time. Let's have a look at some of those best athletes. There is Abdi Nagay of the Netherlands, the Olympic silver medalist in Sapporo. His 19th marathon. He's very experienced. Didn't finish the World Championships in Eugene last year, though. Timothy Kiplangat, world ranked number 3 this year with 2:03.50. Looks optimistic, doesn't he, and ready for it. No track form from him at all, but he won the Abu Dhabi Marathon last year in a fast 2:05. Marut Teferi of Israel, the European Championship silver medalist last year in Munich. He was out-sprinted for gold by Germany's Richard Ringer, 13th in the Olympics, and coached by Dancel Petter, whose wife was 4th in the women's marathon yesterday. Levente Gemerai, the only Hungarian in the race, originally a steeplechaser. He will get huge support from the crowds out in the course. They were big yesterday. I'll bet you they're bigger today on this lovely Sunday morning. Relatively cool by recent standards. It's been sweltering the last few days. Tamarat Tola, the reigning champion in a course record last year. He stormed to a win by over a minute. Spectacularly consistent too. But is he beatable? Well, yes, he was 3rd in London last April. Nervous moments then for these men. They will have one small lap followed by 4 big laps. So away they go then. They will run straight out of the square on that orange carpet into Andrassy Avenue, which is about 3.5 kilometers long. That road in front of them stretches down towards the city centre, but they will turn only a few hundred meters down the road here. A sharp left-hand turn, actually similar to one negotiated by the walkers over the last few days, and then back into the square, around the square, where they will then begin the first of 4 big 10-kilometer laps. Now, Sonia, my impression is that actually that's a fairly healthy pace in the early stages.
They do look like they were very anxious to get going, and I think the adrenaline has kicked in. Meanwhile, they've started off a lot more spread out than the women yesterday, and now the thing is they're going to have to figure out how to be a little bit patient and see who's going to take the lead. And I think there's going to be a lot of athletes watching each other here. They're really trying to settle into a gentle pace down this long Andrassy Avenue, which, you know, it just, if you look up, you notice a lot of the athletes are looking down, but I think if they look up, they'll be thinking this is never ending.
Well, there's Serod Batacher, fascinating athlete, 41 years old now, the Mongolian. He is quite literally a living legend. He's run in 10 successive World Championship marathons, the best placing 19th in Daegu back in 2011, where it was very hot. So this is his 11th consecutive World Championships, and he's competed in 5 successive Olympic Games. His best was 51st back in London 2012. Delightful fella. Met him at a UK marathon a few years back, and he's had to battle through so many challenges. When he first started running, somebody described his being seen on the streets of Mongolia as it couldn't have seen somebody unicycling and juggling cats. But now it's a more common sight. He is widely respected and adored back in Mongolia. And this, well, it's very different to yesterday, Sonia. That's about a 30, 40-metre lead he's building up, and he's just saying to the others, come and catch me if you can. And we do know he likes running in the warmth.
He does like running in the warm, and he's probably, because it's his 10th World Championship marathon, he's got one of the longest biographies here, so he knows we've got plenty to talk about him, so he's going out there and making his name known even more.
Well, Tamarat Tola, there's an indication of his career. I mentioned earlier that the defending champion is super consistent, and that he is. He's run 2:03, under 2:03 twice. He's run 2:04 4 times. He's run 3 times 2:06. His wife, Dira Dida, ran 2:21 in Dubai earlier on this year. I was at that race. So he has got running very much in his blood, and consistency and confidence in his blood, and won by well over a minute at the World Championships last year, Tamarat Tola. So he is not somebody to be messed with. There you can see them coming over the chain bridge. Glorious, the first big permanent structure over the Danube to link Buda with Pest. The athletes now running, and Serod Batacher of Mongolia on the Buda side of the city. There was quite a sort of rise over that bridge, and now he negotiates the square that leads into the tunnel after the chain bridge. This is Adam Clark Square. And he heads into this tunnel, which is about 600 meters long, under Castle Hill. Above this tunnel, a couple 100 feet above it, is Budapest Castle. There's a funicular that leads up the side of it that takes you up to the top. Mark, I think yesterday you went up the funicular and up to the top of the castle, but you said it was sweltering up there. It's a lot cooler in the tunnel, I guess.
It is a lot cooler in the tunnel. It's a bit like yesterday. My eyes are adjusting. There's a little bit of a cool breeze. I would say it's a couple of degrees cooler under here for sure. I think besides the finish line, this is probably going to be the favorite part of the course for all the runners.
And Bato, sure, he's slowed considerably now in the last kilometre, so I think this pack is going to catch up to him. And it will be interesting when they do catch up if they maintain this pace, because they're currently going on 3 minute per kilometre pace, which would lead to about a 2:06 marathon, which would be really, really quick, considering yesterday in the women's race, the winner was 10 minutes slower than her personal best. So this could take a toll on a lot of these athletes if they're heading out at this pace in these conditions.
Well, Gebrselassie of the Ethiopian squad. 4 Ethiopians in this, of course, because Tola, being the reigning champion, gets a bye into the championships, and the federation are allowed to select 3 other athletes. Yes, they are exposed here. There is quite a lot of shade on the course, more than one might have expected, but this is one of the more exposed sections, as Batoche must know exactly what's going on behind him. But it's been a brave run from him for these few minutes in the spotlight. He was 22nd in Copenhagen Marathon in only 2:24 earlier on this year, but crucially he beat Mongolian rival Dambajara and so secured the Mongolian spot for Budapest. But while he's run on so bravely, he couldn't quite reach the 10k mark in front, and he now is in 2nd place, and he will be swallowed up by that pack. Kiplangat in the lead and moving aggressively. And the interesting thing is that they are on a pretty quick tempo now. He's in effect, he's kick-started the race wonderfully. Kiplangat accelerated there to make sure he got his drink okay. 9k in 27:36. I'm just going to my monstrous chart here of times. Shows that they are on 2:09 pace now. 9k in 27:36 is 2:09 tempo, so it's settled down to something more sensible. And I suspect, Sonia, in the conditions that we're going to see them endure in the next hour and a half, that's probably a more likely finishing time. Most likely, yeah. I mean, it's highly unlikely that they will get the same course record as Tamira Tola did last year. But again, we see similar to yesterday, there's a bit of a panic when they get to the water stations here, and there's a picking up of the pace, a spreading out. Everybody wants to ensure that they get those drinks, because it's going to be crucial in the latter stages of the race that they've taken on the fluid early on and not lost too much. And as they pass 10 kilometres there in about 30-40. Oh, Batoche getting a bit of cramp there. Well, he's run so hard and so fast. I said earlier that his split's 14:59 for 5k. He's going through 10k there now in what, 31:01. What a shame, what a shame. A bit of cramp in that right hamstring. Has he been taking on enough fluid? That is an enormous shame. It was, we said earlier, or I said earlier, a little bit rash perhaps to go out so hard against a field of this calibre, a field of extraordinarily calibre, by the way. If I tell you there were 17 men in this field who have broken 2:06, another 15 who have broken 2:08, so 32 athletes in this field have broken 2:08, then you'll understand that he was never going to stay out in front for more than a very short while. And that's I'm sorry to see him suffering from cramps so early, Sonia, aren't you? I mean, it's a little strange.
It is strange. I mean, he does look like he's intent on continuing and wanting to finish this race. He got himself back running there again now, but he may definitely have got himself into trouble there by going out so fast in the early stages, and he's stopping again now. And this just may be the end of the race for him, which is a shame, because, you know, he was, I suppose, a distraction to us in trying to read the race, but also a distraction to the other athletes in the race early on, for him to go out so hard. If he's not going to finish the race, it'd be very disappointing.
What would you be wearing, Mark, in these conditions? You know, you were a world-class marathon runner, and you were pretty used to on the track too. Would you be doing the dark glasses and peaked cap option?
I would absolutely have sunglasses on. I think when you're not squinting, your face stays a little bit more relaxed. The only problem with sunglasses on that I found was when you dump water on your head or a sponge, the fluid goes onto the lens and you can get stains on there, and it gets a little bit aggravating.
And yeah, I guess aggressive running here. Sonia from Hakuzimana.
Yeah, but this is actually, it's a pack of about 30 athletes right now, and that's as a result of the last kilometre. Even though the kilometre before was 2:57, they've then slowed back down to 3:13. So there's a real seesaw of pace here, and it just means that more athletes are remaining in contention as we head towards the first half of the race. And Hakuzimana he's very intent on getting a lead here now, so this may be a little bit of a move as we go through the tunnel and heading for the more winding and twisty part of the course, where athletes can get a little bit of an edge because you're negotiating the turns by yourself rather than in a pack. And you know, when you're in a pack in narrow streets, you can get the pace gets shuttled back down, and the people at the back are slowed up, so you get a more clean, freer run if you take the lead and you settle into a faster pace. And Hakuzimana, he's definitely got some intent here now.
John Hakuzimana, the 26-year-old, putting in quite a surge there in the tunnel. There's a slight incline. They have negotiated in that tunnel. They take a left now to begin the big loop in Buda before heading back over the bridge and into Pest. Remember, we're only halfway round the second of 4 10-kilometre laps here, but Hakuzimana for Rwanda is pushing the pace along, and this may break the pack down more significantly. It's still a very big pack. He didn't finish, by the way, the Olympic Games marathon back in 2021. There, it was very hot and humid. Well, let's hope that he does finish here today. The temperature in Budapest, according to what I'm seeing, it is 24 degrees, so it's climbed slightly since the start nearly an hour ago, and it will climb more over this next hour, there's no doubt about that. But there's always somebody, it seems, Sonia, willing to push the pace along and therefore keep it reasonably healthy at the front end. You know, 2:10 through the first half of this race is promising, because the women run huge negative splits yesterday. If the men do, then they will run a long way under 2:10.
Yeah, I mean, the first half will be on 2:10 pace, but there's undoubtedly that the second half will be a lot faster, because more athletes will be pushing the pace and they'll be competing and racing. And right now they're not really racing, they're just running along together, they're just testing each other every now and then, but nobody really is going as hard as they can right now. They're all running within themselves. It
is a massive pack, 37 athletes there within 3 seconds of the front, so that is the main pack. Mark Coogan, what's your take on the way things are unfolding so far? It looks to me like there's several athletes who would really like to unleash their harder running, but they keep coming to the front. Nobody's really holding the lead for very long.
No, they're just really accelerating until each aid station or water station, and that's the only time I've really seen them pick it up that much. Turn it around because they're behind me. Can you hear me straining there, Tim?
I can. I was wondering what you were doing, actually, Mark, but I'm glad to hear you were just turning around.
It's really nice out here, to tell you the truth. We're going through a little bit of a residential spot, and people are hanging out their windows and looking at the runners come by.
Well, there's the view from behind. Miyuki of Italy beginning to struggle. The Italian who on his day is very much a world-class racer himself. Just looking at his form, well, Daniele Miyuki, European champion in the marathon back in 2014 in Zurich, 37 years old now. Failed to finish the Rome Marathon back in 2019, but he's still been going pretty well. Didn't finish the World Championships in Doha 2019, didn't finish the London Marathon in 2020. So he has had his bad days. 8th in New York, though, last year was a pretty good day in November last year. but he's now beginning to find that 2:10 tempo in these conditions is a little bit tough. 24 degrees, Sonia, far from ideal conditions for marathon racing. You know, we're sort of poo-pooing it a little bit here because we're so used to something around 34 degrees over the last few days. But actually, for marathon racing, you want temperatures about 10 degrees centigrade. You know, I go to Berlin every year for the marathon there to call the race, and it's some mornings in Berlin it's actually almost cold, and in late September. And yet the times every year are super fast.
The athletes are normally chasing those ideal, perfect conditions, and then they get thrown into the championship races where they're out chasing and racing for medals, and they're in the most not the ideal conditions. But yet the temperature here is climbing all the time, and 24 degrees, it doesn't sound that much, but with the humidity up there in the 70s, they're really feeling it out there. And I think as the women yesterday, they've prepared for it. They know to take the fluids and the drinks on board all the time. They're using the sponges. So they're doing everything possible to keep themselves cool as the race goes on.
They're coming towards the half marathon point here in Budapest. 64 minutes 50 on the clock. There's the 21-kilometer point just behind them. Just 100 meters or so after that, and they will be passing through the halfway point. So it's nicely poised and it's been nicely set up. There it is, halfway, 65:03 at the halfway point. And, well, you can see 65:02, in fact, coming up officially. Kizimana of Burundi and the Ethiopians are there in force. All four of them. There's a sense of deja vu with that quartet of Ethiopians right up towards the front. Lamdasem of Spain is still there. Bellet of Kenya. Kipruto of Kenya. Kibet of the USA. Chiappinelli of Italy is still up there. Look at this. See the time, 65:02, but there's a huge pack, some 20 men or so within 3 seconds of the front end. In fact, 30 men just checking at within 3 seconds of the front. So 65:02 at halfway. Are we in for negative splits? That means a quicker second half. I suspect very strongly that we are. Otherwise, we're going to see a time outside 2:10. I don't think we're going to see a course record. That was that astonishing 2:06 last year. Championship record, I should say, rather than course record. That was 2:06, and the splits from Tamirat Tola included a fantastic 61:27 second half in Eugene. 33 men went through halfway in 64:08 a year ago in the World Championships. Funnily enough, about 30 have gone through in 65:02 here today. So not dissimilar first half in many respects, but I'm not sure that in these conditions, with the climbing temperatures, anybody can run 61 minutes for the second half. Mark Coogan, how are you feeling about it? Is anybody looking like they're desperate to get going? The Opera House bathed in sunshine. The athletes enjoying a lot of shade on this course. It's a wonderfully thought through course with that spectacular backdrop of Hero Square for the start and finish, and then taking them down through the very center of the city, where the crowds are growing all the time. That drink station, the reason for the acceleration from Kiplangat. Always good to see an athlete thinking on their feet, getting it right. I hate it. I'm so disappointed when I see athletes falling over at drink stations, getting caught up in the legs of other athletes. But Timothy Kiplangat doing everything textbook right at the moment in his 7th marathon. 3rd fastest man in the world this year. He has to be a major factor. I'm sure the Ethiopians will have done a bit of homework on the opposition, who they need to watch and who they don't. Of course, they have to watch each other as well. Yesterday, at one point, Sonia, we thought we were going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4 in amongst the Ethiopians, and it did end up being quite a dust-up between those green and red strips in the latter stages.
Yeah, no, it didn't quite unfold as it looked like it would yesterday, and similar today. The lead is changing all the time. The pace is changing all the time, and we're seeing new faces at the front all the time. But Kiplangat, he's been very, very prominent. He's a bit of multitasking going on here. He's drinking. He looks like he's trying to take a gel off the bottle. But, you know, the athletes, when they grab their bottles like that, and then if they make a big effort to get it, then they can take their time ensuring that they take on all the fluid and the energy that will it'll sustain them in the latter part of the race.
Now this surge from Kiplangat to that drink station has sort of seen him ease to the front, and has been covered by Gebrselassie and the other main protagonists, and that group is breaking up now. That is not a group of 30, that is a long stream of athletes negotiating this turn as they are about to go past St. Stephen's Basilica. And I think maybe the pack of 30 period is done, or are they going to start bunching again? 3 Ugandan vests quite prominent, the yellow vests of Uganda, the Ethiopian vests are the green, the Kenyan vests that red, green and black mix. The Kenyan flag, of course, with those 3 colours are very, very deeply meaningful. Red, green and black. They say that the red is the blood spilt fighting for independence, the green is the beautiful countryside of Kenya, and the black is the rich black of the people's skin, and they are so proud of those 3 colours and the symbols that they stand for on their national flag. Now, Chiapinelli of Italy has attacked. I think he's had enough. This, perhaps the most significant move for the last half hour or so. Sonia, what do you reckon?
He has made a move, but I don't think it's a real move, and Hazikama is back covering the move again, so he's not letting him get away. I think what happened there was it looked like the pack was breaking up, and then they slowed a little bit, and it looked like they were all going to regroup again. And I think Chiapinelli was thinking, no, I want to get down to fewer numbers here, because, you know, the more athletes that are together for the longer amount of time, then the more difficult it becomes to decide the winner, to decide the medals. If you can get a small group away, then you can play different tactics.
Kiplangat being passed here by Kissa, who is running as well with just a little bit more aggression, and impressive from Stephen Kissa. He is the real deal, this fella. He's run a 2:04 marathon last year. He's run a 58:56 half marathon all of 5 years ago, and he is ripping past these other athletes. Kiplangat, Teferi in his wake. But here is the lead. Kissa now. No, not the lead, excuse me. This is Kissa surging. This is the chase. And these athletes are back in 4th, 5th and 6th. But they are maintaining the same pace as the leader. But they were 7 seconds back at 33K. Kissa maybe with a surge of adrenaline feeding this surge. Sonia, you're right. I wonder how long it'll go.
And it looks like it's Kiplangat and Gebrselassie who are pulling away now, and Tola falling back. So Kissa may see that. And when you see an athlete dropping back and you've got the good positive momentum, it's very possible that Kissa is going to keep this pace going until he catches up to Tola. Then he can have a little bit of a rest and then go again.
This from Kiplangat is super impressive, because they have dropped the reigning champion still, the defending champion, Tamarat Tola of Ethiopia. He is, we can't really see him, but he's back about 10 or 15 metres behind these two. In fact, 20 metres, 25 metres, and he looks to be done for as they go through 34K. Kiplangat pushing on so strongly. Gebrselassie in his slipstream, matching him stride for stride, almost clinging onto his coattails. But Kiplangat here has got to adopt the mentality, though, the traditional great mentality of major champions, and that is keep your head down, keep pummeling away, keep those punches going in, those invisible punches in Gebrselassie, and have the faith that they are damaging him, they are hurting him. He will be aware, I'm sure, that he's already got rid of Tola, and Tola losing ground all the time. That's 50, 60 metres now. He's lost 5 seconds in the last kilometre. And that is Kissa going through, chasing hard in 4th place. Teferi in 5th place for Israel. Both of them have had falls. It is astonishingly brave, tough running from the athletes in 4th and 5th to be challenging for medals after falling in the latter stages of this marathon, Sonia.
Kissa, he looks so strong right now, and definitely a rush of adrenaline after the fall, and he was determined to get back up and not give up without a fight. And he's pushing on hard here now, and you just wonder if that adrenaline will run out and if he'll be able to get into that 3rd position. That will give him another boost of confidence, boost of motivation, and how close he can get to the leaders, Kiplangat and Gebrselassie, who are really working hard right now. That last kilometre was the fastest of the race at 2:49.
It is 2:49 that last kilometre. Mark Coogan on the bike right alongside these fellas. You've had to accelerate. I'm sure you can see it on the speedometer of your bike. It is so impressive, this running. Yeah, they can run along that left-hand strip off the sort of... They're not cobbles, really. They're more like tiles, bathroom tiles that would be so slippery when wet, but they're not wet today. They were washed when we went round them, round the course on scooters a couple of days ago, and it did look slippery. But Kiplangat here, now beginning to forge a gap. The response from Gebrselassie is not what he's been able to produce over recent kilometres. And at last, this powerful, barrel-chested little Ugandan forges a gap on the opposition, on the chaser from Ethiopia. Has he got a winning gap? 2:55 for the last kilometre, the quickest of the race so far. And he has at last got a little bit of gap between himself and Nul Gebrselassie, the best of the Ethiopians so far. Maru Teferi of Israel, not in sight yet. He is 37 seconds down. Such has been the aggression, Sonia, of this attack from Kiplangat for quite a few kilometres now, that the battle for third and fourth place and further back still is well over half a minute.
But Kiplangat really is pushing the pace here, and I think at this point in the race, Kiplangat feels that he has to get away from Gebrselassie, because Gebrselassie has a substantially greater 5,000 metre PB than Kiplangat, so he'll know that if they stay too close to the finish line, Gebrselassie will have the advantage. So I think Kiplangat, he's really trying to make a break here from a long way out, and he seems to be managing it over Gebrselassie. So unless Gebrselassie can regroup and pick up these pieces here, then Kiplangat might just get away, but I think the elastic is not broken yet.
2:55 for that last kilometre. Kiplangat maybe just looking a little bit fatigued here for the first time as he climbs the very small incline to the apex of the bridge, but I'm sure it feels like a pretty big incline for him now with just a few kilometres to go in this World Championship marathon. There's the gap from one of our drone cameras, obviously. It's about, what, 20, 25 metres? And I think it's growing, and I suspect very strongly that if Gebrselassie wasn't absolutely redlining here, he would still be tucked in, almost touching the back of the vest, the yellow vest of Uganda's Victor Kiplangat. So it looks to me like he's got, well, if not broken that elastic band, Sonia, he's done enough damage to Gebrselassie to force the Ethiopian to let go. And he will take reinforcement from that. You know, you almost get a surge of adrenaline, don't you, when you're working hard and you're very tired yourself, but at last you break the opposition mentally as much as physically.
Yeah, he definitely seems to have broken clear now, but I don't think Gebrselassie has given up hope yet, and there is this big, long Andressa Avenue to navigate yet, and that's where it's going to get really, really tough for both athletes, but Gebrselassie will have Kiplangat to focus on.
Well, the gap has closed 12 seconds in the last kilometre. And I tell you what, he's moving along here like a 1,500-metre runner. That heel kick coming up to his backside is really high. He's striding so well here, Teferi. This is spectacular running form. Coaches will be looking at this and thinking, where's he got that strength from to look so fresh? It's like he's running in a 10K.
In that final kilometre, Teferi was 12 seconds faster than Gebrselassie.
Exactly.
With 1 kilometre to go, another 12 seconds, and he could just take him over on the orange carpet as we enter Hero Square. So it could be very, very exciting finish here. So Kiplangat is away, and he's going to take the win with ease, I'm pretty sure, unless any disasters happen. But for the silver and bronze medal, there is still some drama to be played out.
Kiplangat then roaring on towards Hero Square. Mark Coogan, a final thought from you about the form of Kiplangat. He covered his last kilometre in 3:08. He's able to relax here and enjoy this last few hundred metres.
He looks great, Tim. I swear he's still breathing through his nose, and they only look back once this whole race. He's a great world champion.
Well, he's not a world champion yet, but he will be in 300 metres time. On to the orange carpet of Hero Square for the final time, Victor Kiplangat. He has looked truly dominant over this final 10-kilometre circuit here in Budapest. Here's the second placer, Lil Gebre Selassie. He's digging in deep because he's been closed down by Teferi of Israel over the last couple of kilometres. It looked like his silver medal position was under real threat, and Teferi may run out of roadway. But on the orange carpet of Hero Square, past the great leaders, the 7 great leaders of the Magyar tribes of centuries gone by, this man will have them punching the air and roaring him home in Uganda. Victor Kiplangat, Commonwealth gold last year, world gold this year. This has been a quite spectacular winning final lap from him, and he crosses the line in 2:08.52 to take world gold. He is crowned world champion. Another glorious day in the distance races for Uganda. And look at this, Teferi has caught Gebre Selassie. The Ethiopian is wilting. Teferi's form and determination on these final few kilometers rewarded with a silver for Israel. Wow, what a spectacular surge from him. He had a target, and he hit that target with a bullseye. And Gebre Selassie was the victim of that, but he still gets a brilliant bronze for Ethiopia. 2:08.53, the official winning time there for Victor Kiplangat. Well, we can confirm those results for you now of quite spectacular men's marathon. I thought the women's marathon was a tough act to follow, but the men did it well. Victor Kiplangat took gold for Uganda. Maru Teferi, the silver for Israel. That was unexpected. Lil Gebre Selassie, the best of the strong Ethiopian quartet. Ramakongwana of Lesotho broaching new ground with a fabulous fourth, and Stephen Kitzer, despite the fall, in 5th place to back up the win for Uganda. Chiapinelli made sure that the Italians were well represented in the top 20, and indeed it was a good day for the Europeans. Germany's Hafton Welde right up there as well. The Frenchman Mehdi Frère having a good day, just under 2:12. Rory Linkletter, the best of the Canadians and indeed of the North Americans. Moen, the one-time European record holder for Norway, finishing in 23rd place. And the first 27 getting under 2:15 in these very hot conditions. 28 degrees as they came into Hero Square for the final time in these testing conditions, the Hungarian capital. Kenya Sonota in 35th place. For Japan, it wasn't one of the best days for the Japanese squad. Nishiyama in 42nd place. And the champion of 12 months ago, Tamirat Tola, amongst the non-finishers. He dropped out just before 39 kilometers. A lot of non-finishers on this super hot day in Budapest, as was expected.